Okay, so I'm gonna show y'all how to build a 2K18, 2K17 scoreboard in Blender. I got three programs open. I got GIMP, and I got Blender, and then I also got NBA 2K18 running in just a regular play now game. So let's open up Blender. This is the opening screen. You right click to select stuff. You have a lamp and a, forget what that is, a light, a lamp and a light, and then this box. So right click on the box to select it and push delete. Now let me open my screen keys so you can see what's going on. Okay, so if you're in this panel, if you do the mouse wheel, it'll scroll up and down. If you're here, it'll scroll there. If you're here, well, that one doesn't scroll. And if you're in here, it'll scroll there. If you press and hold the mouse panel, it'll rotate. If you hold shift and the middle mouse, you can grab it. So you select the box and you press delete and press enter. Now what we want to do is go over here to this one and scroll down, and there's an NBA 2K importer. This is installed elsewhere. I'm not going to cover it. TGsoGood has a tutorial on it. But before we do that, we need to get the original scoreboard for 2K18. Let's just copy that to the desktop. So what you want to do is right click it. Okay. We'll give my computer a second to reset the desktop. Okay, so you want to right click it and you want to extract to the desktop. Let's get rid of this folder. There we go. So, and we're going to rename this one 2K18 Original Scoreboard. Now, the second thing you want to do with this IFF file is you want to go to your modded folder, and you want to put it in here, copy and paste or move it, and then you want to right click it and send a shortcut to the desktop. I usually put that over there. Okay, so now you have all extracted, and what we're interested in is these scene files, and that's what we import into Blender. So let's get started with that. Let's open up Blender. We go over here to import, go to the desktop, the original scoreboard, and we're gonna import scoreboard op.scene. Just press accept and then select import. Middle mouse wheel to scroll out, and there is the original scoreboard. So we're in object mode. You can change it to edit mode here, or you can press the tab button and it'll switch between object and edit. Now these panels, there's a little plus sign. It opens and closes. Blender has keyboard shortcuts for all this, but I just use a little plus sign to open and close these. We might need those later. So we want to be in object mode. There's three little lines here. We want to drag it like that, and then we want to change this to the UV image editor over there. So here's the scoreboard. Now if you're thinking about the screen, if you go to NBA 2K18, the original scoreboard is in the bottom left. So if we press A to select all, deselect all. If we grab the team logo shape and move it around. Now this is another important thing. If the green arrow is pointed away from you and the blue is like that, then you're looking at the back of the scoreboard. So you want the blue up, the red this way, and the green arrow pointed toward you. But if you think about an imaginary screen, same as your game, this is in the bottom left, so if we move this up, it'll be above the screen, in the middle of the screen, and down in the middle of the screen, and then that. Control Z to undo all that, and we'll put it back to how it was normally. So we're going to work with press A to select all and A to deselect all. We're going to work getting the scoreboard background in, which is probably the hardest part of this whole ordeal. So we're gonna, you come over here, this is where we imported it, and over here are vertex groups that 2K has left in the game for us. So we're going to select this and move it up. Now that is going to be our scoreboard mesh right there. Now over here is the UV image thing. We'll deal with that in a minute. But now that we have it selected, we can deselect it, select it. We can select a bunch of things, and we can move them all around all together, just so you know. But we don't want to do that right now, so press A to select all, deselect all, and go back to the scoreboard. What we want to do is we want to click on the texture pane, and we want to click on new, and we want to click on open. Go to our desktop, go to our textures, and this is a texture that we're going to be working with. It looks like that. So now that that is set up, keep this panel open for a little bit. You want to click this little image thing and select that. Now it shows up here and it shows up here, but it doesn't show up here. So what we need to do is we need to go to texture. Then we need to open this side panel. We need to scroll down with the mouse wheel to shadeless. And we can close that side panel. And there you go. So the most of the controls you're going to be using, I usually use this to drag it. You're going to press S to scale it. And if you want to scale it on the x-axis, you press S and then the letter X. And that'll scale it like that. And you press S and the letter Z, and that'll scale it like that. With the scoreboards, you use a lot of scaling for this texture, for the logos, for the team colors, and the timeouts. It's just a lot of scaling mostly. So those controls, we want to make this nice big texture mesh, make it pretty big. Not too big, but kind of like that. So in this window, those controls work the same over here. So what you want to do is you want to push A. We can scoot this window over. And then you want to scale this, and you can see that it's changing the texture over there. So this is just a little window showing what needs to be written on the mesh texture wise. And then we want to scale it upward, SY, SY. And then we can scale it push S and then X, scale like that. So what you want to do is you want to click UV, so this is how I do it, there are probably better ways to do it, and constrain the image bounds, and then scale it. And now it'll be stuck to the image. Oh, and on both of these, if you press G and move your mouse around, it'll grab it. Grab, and then you can throw it wherever. Control Z to undo that. So let's go back over here. So we need to make, now if you start selecting these and dragging them, then if you look over there, your texture is going to be screwed up. So you don't want to do that. Push Control Z to undo. There we are. What you want to do is just scale it. So you press G, A, Control Z, A to select all, G, move it up, and then you just want to scale it until you get the whole thing on there. So let's look at that. Looks like I'm missing a little bit down here, so I'll just zoom in, press G, press S, scale it, and let's see how that looks on this edge. Now, there's probably more efficient ways, but this is just how I do it, considering I'm not the greatest at Blender, but it'll get the job done. And there we are. And there we are. So now you have the texture and you have your mesh over here. So you can throw this over there for a little bit, and we'll come back to this. What we want to do is we want to enter object mode. We want to select all, open this panel. Now I read somewhere you can adjust the scale or dimensions, and it's supposed to help with the texture. But so if you look in this panel here with your texture, it's got your image size. So we're going to type in 1991 and press enter. And then for the Z-axis, we're going to type in 344, press enter. And then over here, my thing's too big, but that's okay. We're going to push A for all, select all in object mode. We're going to push Control A, and then we're going to lock the scale. Now we can close this, and we need to push Control A, select all. We need to scale this back down a little bit. My camera's messed up. There we are. Middle mouse to move it a little, scale it down. Alright, so here we are. We got our texture. It's pretty good. There's a little distortion in the circle, but that's okay. So now we want to do is want to export it. So we go back here. We select an export folder, desktop, export, push accept, and then export it. So in the export folder, you have these models. So now what you want to do that it exported is you double click your shortcut, you drag, and you push yes, and you import it into there. So now we can check in the game. Go to quit, rematch. The rematch is available on the play now, and it's what you use to refresh the scoreboard. And our texture is gone. It's not there because I made a mistake, but that's okay. That's a good thing to know. So we imported our models into here. Now what we need to do is we need to, again, this is just your modded scoreboard IFF, is we're working with the scorebug op scene, and we need to drag it out there. I'm going to close that. Now in the scene, to open it up, push Control F, search for DDS, and here we are. So the reason our scoreboard isn't showing up is because it's pointing to this texture, and we need to replace it with what our texture is called. So our texture is B88 underscore scorebug.dds, and then we want to change this to B88 underscore scorebug.tga. Sweet. So we save this and close that. Save this. I think we already saved it. Close it. Open up your IFF and drag it in. And then you need to drag your texture in. Okay. So here we are. If you don't have your texture or your notepad, it won't show up. But if you edit the scene, then it will show up, and drag your texture in. Okay. There's our texture. It's not working. Why isn't it working? B88 scorebug and DDS. Oh, so I know why it's not working. If it's a white texture like this, then that means you made an error in your scorebug thing. Either a spelling error, you had 3 8s, or you didn't come down here like I was supposed to. Here is the scoreboard mesh material, and you need to come down here and change this to B88 underscore bug.tga, so that it matches that one. That one's DDS, that one's TGA, that's TGA. So we push File, Save, and we drag this into our scoreboard. Now if we go into the game, it should show up. Okay. Alright, so there's our texture. Sweet. So we alt out of that, we go into Blender, and it looks like we need to enter edit mode. Push A to select all, go back to the groups, select our texture. We need to make it a little bit bigger, and we can drag it into the middle here, and export that, just so that it's in the middle of the screen. Export folder, this, put up here. Drag them all in over here, push yes, so we can get a look at this texture. Now Luya or somebody else who's really good at Blender might know how to better work with his main scoreboard texture, but for myself, this is just what I do. Okay, so we're going to move it up a little bit more, and this time I'm going to push export. You can tell if it exports correctly because the timestamp changes. So let's move it to the right, and we'll make it bigger, and up a little, and then push export. And let's drag it into the game. I'm trying to get it out of that corner. Maybe I need to move it a bunch. Whatever, I don't know what's going on. It's not working. Let's try something else. Oh, never mind, I don't know what's going on. So if you're in edit mode and you push export, it won't edit correctly. So go into object mode and then push export. The timestamp changed to 10:58, so now it'll export correctly. Sorry about that. Reload the game. Now my texture is probably like humongous. There we are. Okay. So if you look at the texture here, it's a little distorted, the circle, and we might want to maybe bring it in a little. It's a little long. So let's do that in Blender. So go into edit mode, press tab, press scale and x-axis, and we'll just shrink it all. See what that looks like. Okay. Oops. Need to enter edit mode, scale, x-axis. Oop, there we are. Okay, so if you scale, stop doing that. Okay, scale, and then the z-axis, you can really distort your texture. See how that circle now looks? Jerry West is a little stretched out. So you just want to do your best. And again, there's probably a better way to do this, but edit mode, scale. Okay, we'll make it about that size. And then let's see if we can fix that circle. It looks more round. Push S and then Z. Looking for a round circle. S and Z. Anyways, now you can also, when you're in edit mode, A to select all, deselect all. You can do this and bring this down. That might help the texture a little bit. Push A to select all, deselect all. Do that, right click. Anyways, let's not spend too much time on this because it's not too important. So you go back to object mode, push export for the tutorial, drag it in here, and reload the game. And we can see what's going on with our texture. Alright, that's pretty good. Looks a little bit small, but we can make it a little bit bigger and then we'll call it good for the tutorial. So enter edit mode, press edit mode, deselect all, go select our texture, press scale, we'll just make it a little bit bigger. Well, we'll make it a bunch bigger for the tutorial. Alright, so we're in object mode, we want to export that, and that should be good. Now if you want your scoreboard in the middle, then just remember this is the bottom left right corner of the screen, so the middle is probably somewhere around there. So you go into object mode, export, drag them in, and it should be in the middle of the screen if you want a scoreboard that's in the middle. Wait for this to reload. Okay, and you move it to the left for more middle. We're going to put it in the corner here where the original scoreboard is. So let's do that. Edit mode, drag it into the corner. If you drag it too far, it'll go off screen, which is useful if you want to hide things. Off screen, you just drag them off screen and put them somewhere where you want to hide it. So let me show you that while I remember real quick, and then we will talk more about scoreboard building and working with texture. See, so if it's partially off screen, if you took it off more, it'd be completely off screen. So let's put this, oops, edit mode, grab the red, and I'll just put this like that. Now what I like to do is I like to select all when I get to this portion, and then deselect the scoreboard, and then drag the rest of this stuff up top so that there's a space between. Okay, I don't think I have to show you that in game. You'll see it in a minute. And export that. Okay, so these two little squares are not really important. If you go up here to your layers, you can just move them off screen over here, kind of like that, and then you go back to your scoreboard mesh. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put these timeouts into position real quick, and you use the same procedure for the logos and the team things and everything else. So A to select all, make sure in edit mode. We're going to go down here to timeouts away and select it, and then timeouts home and select it, and we're going to drag it down to this space here. A to select all, now they're just hanging out. So what I like to do is select one of the timeouts and then align it perfectly on top of the other one, just like that. And now they're on top of each other. That way when you push A to deselect all, you're going to select the home timeouts, select the away timeouts, and it'll move it both. That way when you scale them, they will be both exact perfect, and you won't have to worry about that. So you want to bring it down to the texture here, and you want to put them, scale them exactly where you want them in your texture. That looks pretty good. You can do scale and X just to do the X-axis, and you can do scale S and Z. So I want to make them a little bit thinner. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to press A to select all, A to deselect all, and this is the home area. So I want to select the away timeouts, grab the left arrow, and move them over here. Now I want to point this out before I forget. We have the away timeout selected. What we want to do is open this panel, and A to deselect everything. We select our away timeouts. If we want to move them on the X-axis a very specific amount, you left click on the red arrow, and then you can move them here 1, or you can move them here 50, or you can move them here negative 50 or negative 100. Okay, and put it back to 0. So this is useful if you need to move them like 0.5 just to get them in and all that. Anyways, just so you know. Okay, so let's close that panel. That looks pretty good about where the meshes are. And we're going to go and press tab into object mode. I'm going to export it. Drag them to our modded scoreboard and do rematch so we can see the changes. Okay, so here they are, and they're slightly above the scoreboard. Luya, his scoreboards are all very well organized. I don't know how he does it, so I'm not that great with Blender. So what we want to do is we want to move them down into position on our scoreboard. And the rest of the logos and the team colors are we moved up. So let's do that. Let's go into Blender, go to our groups, select, get into edit mode, select the timeouts away and the timeouts home, and then we just want to drag them down here. It's okay that they don't overlap here because they'll show up in game. Like I said, people better with Blender can probably fix that, but I just just place everything and make the scoreboard. So let's see if we got it in the correct position on the screen. Now they're a little bit closer, so we'll try one more time, but y'all get the gist of this. Enter edit mode, they're still selected. Go down just a little bit, maybe there. Object mode, export, and put them in there, and then restart the game. So you want to use this for you want to scale your home and away logos, And the team colors we're going to talk about. Alright, there you are. I would move them down just a little bit. And what I mean move them down, go into edit mode, select the blue arrow, open this panel with the little plus sign, and move them down probably 0. Oh, that was up. I always forget which way, so I usually put 100. 0 brings you back to where you were. And I would move them down probably negative 0.5. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's talk about the home and away team colors. Now, let's get into edit mode with tabs, select all, and team color away and the team color home. Okay, well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to scale these nice and big for the tutorial. Okay, so if we select just one, let's start with the home, and I'll start with the away. And come over here, then it's got a UV map. Now you could do an image and adjust the UV map and whatever else, but I prefer to keep it with the original one. And there's the home one. That's the away one. If we select the home one, there's the home one right there. Okay. And so I prefer to keep it with the original texture because, let me select the away shape. There's the UV map. Is that this texture, is actually two home textures. I'll go that way. There we are. Okay. There's actually two home textures if your scoreboard needs the home color in two different places. So if you separate them, the UV map stays the same. Now this box here is for the shaders of this texture, and this box here is for the shaders of that texture. Alright, so we're going to set this up where you can use it in Photoshop. So we're going to go here, we're going to delete this, we're not using it anymore. Select new, go to open, and then what you want is you want the original scoreboard texture from the original scoreboard. So that's right here. We're going to press copy paste and set it out there. Okay, go back to Blender, go to your desktop, and then select that original image, and with the home color away selected is what we have, I believe. Okay, so there's the home color image. Now it's opened up. We want to go over here, select that. It is not showing up. Oh dear. Deselect, select, image, delete that, go to new, go to open, desktop, originals. Oh, I know what I need to do. Sorry. Thought I had this pulled up already. So this is a DX11 texture, so we need to convert it to a regular DDS. So I do that at paint.net. Sorry about that. I need to talk about this texture stuff, and then y'all will be on your way. So there's the texture. We just save as desktop DDS, and then DX5, generate minimaps, save it. Okay, so that's, we can delete that. So this new one is regular DX9 or whatever it is texture. So let's delete this. Once again, we want the away color selected. Go into here, the texture, we want to open it. Go to desktop, the original texture, open image, now it's showing up. Go in here, select the texture, and there it is. So now you can see that this is the shaders that they used for this box. This is the shaders for this box. So what you want to do with this loaded like that is you want to select UV and you want to export UV layout to a PNG, send it to the desktop, and this one will do team away uv.png. I'm going to export that and go a little quicker to get this covered, and then we can open this up in GIMP. So let's open it up in GIMP. Edit with GIMP. There it is. There's the UV map where we want to put our shaders. For reference, you can open up File, open as Layer, and you can open up the original one, and you can see where they shaded it. Okay, now we're going to delete that. Alpha to selection, we're going to make a quick shader, and we're going to shade this first box. Now for this, new layer, you want to always start out with a white texture background. White is the brightest color. You can go anywhere from white back to gray or anywhere in between. But I usually start out with a white one just so that I can see what it looks like in game. So let's add a couple of shaders and do to this. No, that's not good. There we are. Add a new layer. Put another shader. Add a new layer. Put another shader. Alright, so that looks good. So now I'll make a new layers. Remember where deselect. Oh, select none. That's what I'm looking for. So the top, make a new layer. Now we're going to do this box. So this box, I'm just going to do a black background so that you can see what it looks like in game. Sweet. So now we're going to merge visible. The yellow line is on the outside. That's good. So we're going to export this as a DDS. We're going to call it team, oh no, B88 underscore away dot DDS. Generate minimaps. Okay, and there it is. There's our shaders for the away team. So we're gonna go make one, right? That was the away team. Yeah. So now we're gonna deselect this. We're gonna select the home shape. We're gonna go over here, delete this, press new, open up the original image again. Here it is. And then select it here from this list. Now we're going to export the UV to the desktop. Call this home uv.png. We're going to export that. Now we can work on this in GIMP. So we're going to edit with GIMP. There's where we want our shaders. Add a new layer. Anyways, you can spend more time on this. I'm just doing this quickly because this tutorial is getting a little long. Now we're going to pick a gray just so you can see what a gray looks like for the background. Oops. Undo. Go to our layer. Gray. And then put a white shader on this just so you can see. Add a new layer. We'll just do it just down like that. Alright, cool. And delete that. Oh no, undo. We want to do a new layer. And this is the second box. This one we're just going to keep transparent. So we don't have to do that. Just so you can see what a transparent one looks like. So merge visible layers. Okay. We're going to export this as a DDS. B88 home.dds. Generate minimax dx5. Okay, there we are. Now we have our textures and our shaders. We separated them. Let's export that model in case I forget again. So let's go check our export. And the time change 11:16. So open this up, drag our model in here. No. Gosh darn it. So sometimes Blender screws up on me. I still don't understand why. So what you want to do is save backup. So you push save as desktop blend. I'm going to call this backup version 1.blend. Save as a Blender file. Close it out. And then where's my Blender file? There it is. Backup version 1 blend. Open it up. and everything's exactly how you left it. So let's try to export this again. Export to the desktop. The time matches, it changed. Throw these in here. Close this. There's another 7-zip. Close this. And we'll try it again. Cool. It went in. So now we need to edit the scorebug scene. You can do this one, or just to be doubly sure, you can pull it out again and look at it. And we want to insert our textures into the texture list. So Control F, DDS. Go into here. Now what you want to do is these textures, they need the comma and they need the brackets right there. So what I usually do is I copy that, push Control copy, and then copy that, and then paste it, and then paste it. So now we got 3 textures. This is our scoreboard. Got the bracket. This needs a comma after. This needs, and then we got this above it, and this needs a comma after. Okay. So make sure there's a bracket and a comma after. That bracket's the wrong way. Open bracket, close bracket, comma. Open bracket, close bracket, comma. Got 3 textures. So this one we're going to name B88 underscore away.bds for the away team color, and then B88 underscore away.tg. That's what the name is, right? Right. And then this one we're going to name B88 home.bds. And this one is going to be home.tga. So just like we have the TGA, the DDS. This one was a scoreboard material that we changed earlier. Here's the end of quarter if you want to change that texture. But this is what we're looking for. Team color away. We're going to change it to B88 underscore away.tga. Team color home. We're going to change it to B88 underscore home.tga. So save this. Close that and drag this back in. Overwrite. Drag these 2 textures in. Overwrite. It should be up there by my other ones. And remember, this is just a shortcut here to our modded folder. Open it in game. And our new textures, shading for the home and away colors, should be here. Nope, it is not. I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? It was missing. So I got that one. TGA. Probably something wrong with my colons, brackets. So let's go into Luya's. When in doubt, always check Luya's stuff, because he always does things correctly. Go into his scoreboard opt. Let's open that up. Alright, search for DDS. Okay. Wiper. Ooh, that's what I did wrong. These are all supposed to be closed bracket. So this bracket needs to be the other way. So we got this bracket's open, that bracket's open, texture name, this and a comma, this and a comma, need a comma there. And then another bracket, that and a comma, there. Okay. That's what we did wrong. Save. Like I said, if it's an invisible scoreboard, you might have screwed up your scene. Bracket, comma. Let's just save this somewhere else. Save it in our export. I don't know what's going on with this. Alright. Drag this. Let's go to our modded folder. Alright, I'm gonna have to pause this and then restart this blasted computer. I don't know what's wrong with it. I'll be right back. Oh, okay, so I'm back. Alright, so let's open up my backup blender that I luckily made. And we got our shaders here and everything laid out like we had it. So now we can open this, drag our scoreboard scene in there. Open up game, and this is what it looks like. So remember the home away team, this was the white background with the shaders. This was a black background, and on the home team we did a gray background with a white shader on top, and this was transparent. So let me open those up again real quick. So the home team, we did a gray background with a white shader, and this is transparent. And the away team, we did a white background with shaders, and this was black. So once again, black, white, gray background, and transparent. So you need some sort of shader on those things to make them look nice. Now the last thing I want to talk about is the foul box. And that's fairly specific, and we'll go over that really quick. So let's import the file box. Go to desktop, 2K original. Now the scoreboard notification scene is the file box. Press import, and there it is. Okay, so let's close this and open the UV map again. UV over here. And then we'll want to put this to texture and go to shader, scroll up, scroll down, shading, and shadeless. Now the best way to deal with the UV map is just to press A. You're in edit mode, press A, select all, and just select all. If you move, so let's delete everything in our export folder. Well, we'll just keep it there. If you don't touch anything here, you can change stuff over here, move it around, select the different panels and stuff. I usually just go with select all. And if you push export to the desktop, export, select your folder, you press export, it will export just fine. There's the time. It's a different model. You drag that into there and it'll be in game. Oh, wrong one. So let's go into Blender. If you touch anything over here, scale it at all, it will. Oh, it actually let me export it for once. It usually doesn't let me export it for some reason. Oh, because I'm in edit mode. So if you go to object mode, you touch anything over here, go to object mode, export it, you'll get a bunch of errors. So you'll want to keep everything over here. You don't touch anything. But over here you can scale stuff and rearrange stuff and everything. So the question is, we need to get a new texture on this. So once again, we want to go to the original texture. A to select all. Go to new. Go to open. Go to the desktop. Go to the original texture. Open image. It shows up there. Select it over here. And this is where you want to put your texture on the texture map. So we don't touch anything, we just export the UV. This one, go to desktop, we'll call foul uv.png, and we'll export that. Alright, now you can open this up in GIMP and you can design your texture. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then you can be on your own. So you need to fit your texture within that box. This one you can make black or clear or whatever you want to do. You can experiment with that. So I had an old texture from Enrique. Let's edit this with GIMP. And this texture, the image size is quite small. It's 512 by 512. It's a square texture, remember that. This texture, the image size, is 3060 by 404. So obviously what we want to do is we want to go to our map. We want to go to image, scale image, 360, and it's square. Put it on both sides, push scale. There we are. Now it's quite a lot bigger. How do we zoom out? There we go. And we still have the map in proportion to the image size. So we'll go here, push copy, paste to a new layer, move this down using the down arrow, and using the up arrow, put it in the texture, merge down. Oh no, now we just want to delete this. Now when you do this, there's this yellow box here. If you export the texture, it'll be a small texture and it won't fit right. So what you want to do is you want to go to layer, and then you want to select layer to image size and GIMP, and now the yellow box is around here with your texture staying put. So let's export this to the desktop. We'll call this B88 file.pds. Generate minimaps. DX5. Give it some time to think, and there we go. There's our file texture in the right place. Okay. Now we want this to become the file texture. So we were working in Blender with the notification scene, if you remember. So we're going to drag that out. We're going to open it, notification scene, search for DDS. And then we're going to rename this one to our file texture B88 underscore file DDS B88 underscore file .tga. And then I believe we have to replace it here. Notification material, our scoreboard, B88 file TGA. Let's save that. If that's wrong, we'll check Luya's scoreboard, because Luya does everything correctly. And he definitely is the best scoreboard maker we have. Alright, so those we import to our, there it is. Now we're going to export this. Let's make it just big. Maybe move it to the middle, make it big. Once again, I just did select all. Go over here, export. If you want to see your texture real quick, you just go delete this one, go to the texture tab, once again on select all, go to open, go to desktop, go to your texture, B88 foul. There it is right there. Over here you want to select B88 foul, and there we go. Now the texture is upside down, which is okay. You can scale it on the Z axis. If you scale it like that, it goes like that. Scale S and X. Well, let me show you that again. Push scale, lock it, press X, and it goes like that. And then you can make it look pretty. Okay, so let's export that. We don't want it to be upside down in game, so let's just push export. Oh, go to object mode, push export. I usually forget that. Export, we have our thing, the time change, so you know that it changed. Drag it in there. Ooh. Alright, well, my desktop, it locks up with the handler, so I'm going to have to restart my computer again. Actually, let's just see what it looks like in game. I don't want to restart my computer again. It might be upside down in game, because that's when we exported it the first time. So it'll probably be upside down, but the texture will be correct. Nope, that did not work. Okay, let me pause this and then I will see what is going on with this. Okay, I fixed everything. Blender itself was messing up. I had to kill the process. I find Blender to be a very finicky program, so make sure that you make your backups right there. And so we have this scaled up. It's upside down. So I exported it, and we're going to look at it in game. I'm going to commit a foul. Oh, bother. Or we'll go back. So there's a texture. It is upside down in game, and I made it a bunch bigger just so you can see. So to fix that, you go into edit mode. You press S for scale, X. Let's not do that. S for scale and Z, and then you want just S scale Z, and you can flip it like that if you do that motion. So we do the same thing. We do S and X. You can flip it like that. Now you go to object mode. You push export. The time has changed, so we want to drag it in there, and then we can do a rematch and view the changes. Now Blender controls where the foul box is initially. The up and down motion is controlled by an animation file, so you're going to have to hex edit that. Me and Luya, we usually have it hiding behind the scoreboard and then popping up, or hiding off screen at the bottom and then popping up. And up and down and is controlled by that animation file that you hex edit. So that's the foul box. I find Blender to be unreliable. It crashes a bunch on me, probably just my computer or whatever. So I usually only open up the scoreboard and work on the scoreboard, and then only open up the foul box and work on the foul box. But if you're feeling adventurous, you can go, let me tell you this last thing, and you can open all of them, import all of them. There's the foul box. Go click here. There is the scoreboard. There's the foul box. Import. There's the scoreboard. Import the playoffs, the playoff and the finals textures. They're all up here. Keep track of it. And then the last one is the score, which is the score swipe. Import. And those are when the team scores, and it swipes across the logo and the colors and all that. And then you can save it all. If you go up here, you can move everything around. This is, I don't know what anymore, the foul box, I believe. That one's a score box. This one is the playoff texture, I believe. These are those two small masks that don't do anything. And this one's the finals, playoffs. And then this bottom one is the main scoreboard. And they all and all their groups will be here. If you select their groups will be there for you to use. So if you're doing it like this, A to select all. Select that, and there you go. You can do that. You can save it as a blend file on your desktop. Back up all version 1.blend. Save as a blend file. If you close it, you can open up your blend file, and it'll all be saved. Now, the one thing that if you're doing it this way, the one thing to remember, if you're working on the scoreboard, you have to go here on the import, and you have to select the scoreboard op scene, and then you have to export it. And then if you switch over to the foul box, you have to, I think this is the foul box, you have to go over here, select the foul box scene, and then you can export it. If the scene doesn't match what you're wanting to export, it won't export. I don't do it this way because Blender's a little unreliable and it crashes a bunch on me, and so I just do it one at a time. Anyways, that's the tutorial that should get you started with the texturing and the modeling, and happy modding. Have a good day. Bye.